All right, hello, hello. Welcome back to Live at Drew's House, another edition. Hope you're all doing all right out there. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to get right into it today. Sarah is dog sitting a family dog. So the whole Sarah aspect, for those of you that are just big fans of her, you're not going to have her today. It's just me, but I have a great guest today, so I'm going to get right to him because he's already locked in and loaded. James Montgomery. I know of the James Montgomery Band. I know so many of you already know that name. Well, let's face it, he's a pretty big name artist. He's got a show this weekend. Yes, I know we're all missing a lot of live music. There's a good chance for you to get to see some live music this weekend. We'll talk about that in just a little bit, but let me bring him in. James Montgomery, how are you, man?
Hey, good. How are you, man? It's great to be in your kitchen. Can you pass the salt, please? Yeah.
Maybe I should have some more options around here. What I do have is, you got a coffee mug? I got a coffee mug.
Yeah, actually, I do. I do have a coffee mug, actually. So here's
what are you showing there? Oh, Create, very nice.
Yeah, there we go.
Whenever I have a musician on the show, I like to bring out the. I don't know if
the Beatles one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you've heard of them. They have a real potential.
I know. How about I used to have the guy. I knew the guy who ended up with the demo tape that Decca Records passed on when they passed on the Beatles.
Yeah.
And he got the actual audition tape from the Beatles that they submitted to Decca Records when they passed on them, and he made singles out of them that were like as big as a 78, and they were in different color plastic, and it was actually the actual tape that the Beatles submitted when Decca Records turned them down, and they actually had a recording of the Sheik of Araby that they did. That as part of their demo to get signed to Decca Records.
No kidding.
Well, I'm the Sheik of Araby. Your love belongs to me. At night when you're asleep, and to your 10, I'll creep to the stars that shine above. Anyway, so the Beatles did that, and this guy had the coolest records. A Beatles fan would go crazy to see this stuff.
Absolutely. Well, let's do it for the. Imagine being the guy to pass on the Beatles. Huh? That's not something you want on the resume.
Yeah, exactly. No, these guys will never make it.
So for the kids that don't know what the hell you were talking about when you just said I mentioned a 78, why don't you tell them about life on the Boston rock scene growing up a little bit?
Well, I'll tell you what. I had a band in high school. I had one band that I kind of morphed. I had the Montgomery Miller Blues Band, and then I took LSD. And I changed the name of the band overnight from the Montgomery Miller Blues Band to the Great Cosmic Expanding. And with that band, we opened up for Iggy Pop, who was Iggy and the Stooges then, and we got compared to Frank Zappa. But I'm saying all this just so that everyone knows that I came to Boston University because I was very familiar with the music scene. I knew about Club 47. I knew about Paul's Mall and the Jazz Workshop, the Psychedelic Supermarket. I knew Club 47. I knew about all these places. And so I applied to, 2 or 3 schools in Boston that got accepted at BU. And so I came here because the music scene was so vibrant back then. I mean, you'd have to figure out which one of 7 great bands or artists you'd want to see on any particular night. Because there'd be like national acts in 6 or 7 places.
Right.
So it was really healthy back then. And I've always thought of New England as pretty healthy, having a pretty healthy music scene. And I think a lot of it's because, there's so many colleges and universities in New England, and you're liable to get a greater percentage of people who want to hear original music or want to hear niche music like blues or jazz or classical. So there's always a lot of young people around that are listening to new music, and young people around that get attracted to blues or jazz like I did when I was a kid.
Yeah, I've always thought it's a great live music scene too. Where exactly are you coming to us from? What's home here?
What's that?
Where exactly are you coming to us from?
I'm in Newport, Rhode Island.
You're in Newport, okay.
Yeah, great town. I've been here for 20 years or whatever.
Great spot. I went to school in Rhode Island, so Newport was one of my favorite traveling spots.
Yeah, no, it's a great place to be. I haven't been downtown in 6 months, but
that's true. Yeah,
You know.
we still got the Cliff Walk and the Tennis Hall of Fame, and
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's just it's a great town, you know. It's a great walking town. You know, I've got a courtyard outside that door over there, and I can have my girlfriend over, have a glass of wine, and we can walk to one of 4 or 5 star restaurants. You know,
yep.
it's a great place to live.
So I have again, we're joined here by James Montgomery. We have talked before. We've never done this virtual Zoom thing, which is kind of the new way to conduct interviews, I guess.
Yeah, I've done a lot of Zoom, a lot of Zooming.
I bet. But we have a lot of younger musicians on, a lot of people that have just been really hurt from this pandemic. As you can imagine, a lot of these people that are up and coming and trying to make a name for themselves, they just get stopped in their tracks here a little bit. What's the professional's opinion on that, or what's the advice you'd give to these artists that are really struggling through the pandemic?
Well, at first, everyone thinks, well, we'll just do all these broadcasts on the internet, and like we're doing here. But to actually play music together, using there's a new platform out called Jack something or other, where you can actually play together online. But that's brand new. When this whole thing started, everybody thought, well, this is great. We'll just just put the camera on each other and play together. But as you know, being the electronics genius that you are, there's a thing called latency, and everything has to be everything has to sync up precisely. And now they've got it down to this platform called Jack something or other, where the latency is only 25,000th of a second or something like that. And as I told my bass player, David Hall, I played with drummers who have more latency than that.
Well, it's like the Stones on one of those first worldwide appearances. I think you had Keith was kind of fake strumming the guitar. And
well, yeah, that's what they did. What they did eventually is they just, they did it the old-fashioned way. Everybody sent each other a track, and then they played the music, and then they kind of lip synced. They lip synced that they were actually playing it when they weren't. They were just doing what we've been doing for years, playing along with a pre-recorded track. Boy, the technology, playing along with a pre-recorded track, unbelievable.
Oh my goodness. Well, I want to do a couple more stories down the road too, because last time we talked, you led me down a couple roads I didn't even know we were going to, and they were just great. Remind me the story, Aerosmith's first gig, if I remember correctly.
Well, I was buying harmonicas at, there used to be this music store called Wurlitzer's on Newbury Street in Boston.
Yeah.
I was buying harmonicas in there one day, and this kid comes up. Well, kid, he was my age, but he was a kid back then, and I guess I was too. This kid comes up and he says, wow, he says, James Montgomery, he says, can we open some shows for you? I said, well, I don't know, what's the name of your band? And he said, Aerosmith. And I had heard of them, And so I told Stephen, I said, yeah, I've heard of you guys. You guys are supposed to be pretty good, I said, yeah, I'll put you on a few shows. So the first show they opened for us was at Boston University. And incidentally, eventually I played Boston University enough times that I made my money back. I actually have been paid more by BU than it cost me to go there, which is a good feeling. But anyway, so we put them on opening act, BU. The opening act gets up there. They've got like a wall of Marshalls, just a wall of amplifiers, 10 feet by 20 feet or whatever. Huge drum kit on a big riser. They got a big sign behind them, Aerosmith. They got these smoke machines and these light shows going all over the place. Okay, that's the opening act. Okay. So then they tear all that stuff down. The scrim and the wall of amplifiers and the back stuff and the smoke machines. And there's the headliner with a drum kit and 3 Fenders. It was just yeah. I said to myself, These guys look like they're pretty ambitious. You know, I think they're probably going to go somewhere.
I don't think their setup has changed very much, actually, now that I think about it, right?
No, but I'll tell you what, we still stay in touch with those guys. And, you know, my bass player, David, occasionally does some work with them. But, you know, I still look at those guys. I mean, you know, Tom Hamilton and Brad and Joey, all those guys, they're super nice guys. As Steven is doing really well, you know, in the last 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
Doing great. And it's always fun to see those guys. And they're always extremely respectful and fun to hang out with.
You didn't feel the need to make Steven try to sing for you when you first met him there, huh?
You know, there was a time at Dan Aykroyd's 50th surprise birthday party. We had it at Mohegan Sun, and I'm sitting at a banquet with Peter Wolf and Steven Tyler and Jeff Beavar, who was David Crosby's guitarist now and played with Ray Charles for so many years. Was also a member of my band for a couple of years. But anyway, so I'm sitting there basically with Steven Tyler, Peter Wolf, and Sam Moore, you know, the singer from Sam and Dave, is on stage, and Valerie Simpson comes over and takes a mic, and he gets on his knees and he starts singing. They're going back and forth. Valerie Simpson and Sam Moore, two of the best singers on the planet, are just trading lines back and forth. And then, of course, the whole party stops. And I mean, everybody was at this party. You know, Pamela Anderson was jumping out of a cake and the whole thing. But she missed her flight, so we just stared at the cake. But anyway, everyone kind of comes to a stop, and Sam Moore is singing with Valerie Simpson, and finally the audience, huge ovation, and Sam Moore goes, "Does anyone else want a piece of this? Does somebody want a piece of this?" And I had done a tour with the Blues Brothers, and the guest artists on the tour I did were Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, Albert King, and Carl Perkins and Sam Moore. That was the band we supported.
Wow.
And I had seen Sam Moore in rehearsals with that band, you know, with Duck Dunn and Steve Cropper and Bones Malone, Blue Lou Marini, the whole Saturday Night Live horns. In rehearsal, everyone was Paul Schaefer, Steve Jordan, and Matt Murphy. In rehearsal, everybody was setting their instruments down and giving Sam Moore standing ovations after every one of his songs in rehearsal. And these are the best musicians in the world. So when he says, "Does anyone want a piece of this?" and Steven Tyler jumps up and says, "Yeah, I do." I'm thinking to myself, I'm going, "God, Steven, do you know what you're getting into here? You're going to go toe-to-toe with Sam Moore?" I'm going, man, that's like trying to... And I'll tell you what, he got up there and he got on stage. He was in front of the stage like Valerie. And he went toe-to-toe with Sam Moore for about 10 minutes. And each time somebody sang a line, the other guy sang one a little better. And it was just like a, you know, musical leapfrog. And that's when I figured out that Steven Tyler really is the best singer in rock and roll. Because I don't know too many people who could go toe-to-toe with Sam Moore like he did that day. So
with the Soul Man.
Yeah, he was really great. He did a great job.
Well, that is a very cool story. How about that? That seems like quite the birthday party, let me tell you.
Yeah, it was actually. You know, we did his, I think his 30th, we did up at his parents' house in farm up in Kingston.
Yep.
And they live on a lake up there. And, you know, me and Bill Murray were trying to jet ski. And in those days, it was really tough to stand up on those things. So we amused everyone for about a half an hour trying to stand on a jet ski. And anyway, that was a big surprise party. It was, that was a wild three-day birthday party for Danny up there.
I don't think I know. I remember we talked about it. If I remember correctly, you said, I think the Allman Brothers was one of your favorite bands to tour with. You just said they were super sweet, I think, right? Do I have that right?
Yeah, they were, you start out, people ask you, you know, who's your favorite harmonica player, or who's your favorite band? And you go on and on about this and that, you know, but I've stopped doing that now. when people ask me who my favorite band to tour with, I just go the Allman Brothers. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't like go down the list of who was sweet and nice. They were just the best band to tour with because they had this attitude that your band was on the same level as theirs. You know, they treated you like with equality. You know, and you know, you could just go into their dressing room and start eating whatever they were eating or whatever.
You got to be careful with that, right?
So it was really great.
You got to be careful eating with what they're eating, right?
What's that?
You got to be careful eating what they're eating sometimes, right?
Yeah. I don't know why, but you just switched to my computer speaker. So anyway.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm back there now. So what was it? And Chuck Berry, that had not come up before. Was he difficult? I had heard stories about him being a little tough on the road.
Well, yeah, he was in a way. I did. We backed up that version of the Blues Brothers. We were prepared for anything. Aykroyd sent nobody knew for sure who was going to be playing in that band. And I took the limousine over with Paul Schaefer, and he had a bunch of sheet music, and I'm going, well, geez, I've heard, who's is Keith Richards, who's playing with the band on this thing. And Paul said, I don't know, Dan's going to surprise us. And he had a stack of sheet music like this. And so Aykroyd just started sending a limousine over every hour. And the first hour was Chuck Berry, and then next hour was Bo Diddley, and then Albert King shows up, and then Sam Moore, and then Carl Perkins. So he just sent them over one at a time, and when they walked in, we go, whoa, look at that, we're playing with Carl Perkins, Wow. So I hung out with Chuck a little bit on that tour, but I did open shows for him. Though there was one show where I actually headlined, and then he went on after me. I went on after him, but he was always nice to me. We didn't really have more than a 2 or 3 minute conversation. But what I loved about Chuck is that he would wait backstage with his guitar, and he ready to go on stage, but he wouldn't go on until the promoter handed him all of his money in cash.
I've heard that story. That's true.
Yeah, no, and he would sit there right in front. I would be waiting for him to go on, and we'd be chatting away, and then the promoter would come on, and whatever he was making back in those days, probably $3,500, $4 or $5 grand, whatever back then. And he would just sit there and he would count it out, put the money in his pocket, and then walk on stage. And after you've been ripped off a few times, you start thinking, maybe I should have done like Chuck Berry. The one gig I did up in Mexico, Maine. There is a place called Mexico, Maine.
A lot of countries up there. A lot of country names in Maine.
There are, yeah. There's a Paris, Maine. You can go to Paris and Mexico in the same day up there. But anyway, so we played in Mexico, Maine, and I don't know to this day. There were 2 promoters, and I don't know to this day if one of them really ran off with the money and the other one was just as bummed out as I was, or whether that was a whole setup. But anyway, they did pay me eventually. I got paid in moose steaks. So
steaks.
Yeah, I got a freezer full of moose steaks. And at that point, it became clear to me that Chuck Berry probably had the right idea. Take the money before you go on stage rather than get paid in moose steaks like 6 hours later,
Only in Maine, right?
Yeah. They were pretty good. I ate meat in those days, and they were pretty good.
Are you a vegan now?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm pescatarian, really. I do eat some fish.
We've been trying to do it too. My wife is a vegan, and I am not quite, but I have tried to give up the red meat and everything. She's convinced me on it.
Listen, I found a decent plant-based burger and a decent plant-based cheese.
Yep.
And I can come very close to a cheeseburger.
I have got to the point where I actually prefer both the Beyond and Impossible. I find to be pretty good, and it's the cheese that they haven't quite mastered yet. In my opinion.
Yeah, well, only melted on a fake burger is the only way I really eat it. So
There you go. But you know what I like? It doesn't sit in your stomach like a real burger. It's kind of nice that way.
yeah, no, I listen. You know, if we were all plant based, um, we could save the planet. You know, we cut down a lot of uh, greenhouse emission gases and rotate crops and get some replenish the carbon. I mean, there's a lot to be said for vegetarian eating.
See, now my wife's going to watch this and be very pissed off. She missed this show. See that it's going to happen now.
Yeah, yeah. No, we can still save the planet, but it's just like you know, not hanging out and groups of 100 shoulder to shoulder without a mask on. I mean, you know, we could save the planet, but we probably won't. It's the same way we could probably slow down the proliferation of the virus in this country, but we probably won't, because people just, I don't understand them. I just don't understand, you know, why you wouldn't want to save the planet and why you wouldn't want to put a stop to COVID-19 spreading. But obviously there's literally thousands of people on this planet who don't care about either of those things.
Yeah, we're joined here by James Montgomery. It must be weird for you to go through this pandemic. I mean, first of all, this is probably, if I had to guess, this is probably the longest stretch of time that you've gone not really playing a show in front of people, right?
It's incredible. You know, as I mentioned earlier, I had a band in high school. I had a band in college. You know, so, you know, for 55, you know, maybe 56 or 57 years, I've been playing every Friday and Saturday for 57 years. And now this will be the first 2 days in a row that I played. I'm playing, I got a show in Connecticut before the big drive-in show up there in Manchester by the sea. This will be the first time I played 2 shows on a weekend since February 28th.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, too crazy. And just so everyone knows, we musicians are not pleased. And that's another thing. Every time I see a bunch of yahoos hanging out shoulder to shoulder, 100 of them or 200 of them, or in some case thousands, it just, to me, I just go, well, okay, I thought I might be able to get back to work by February. But if these people keep on doing that, then I might not be able to get to work until March. And, you know, it's like every time I see people crowded together like this, I just think of all the musicians around the world who are just going, oh my God, why don't they stop doing that, so that eventually we can all get out and play music and have our lives back.
Don't you think that's why some of these artists, probably yourself included, get so ticked off when they see a few of these artists have played these kind of big shows? I think, was it the Drive-By Truckers, I think, and I think another country artist out there did it.
Yeah, you know, I saw a country artist who I have a lot of respect for, so I won't mention his name, but I would, you know, he did a drive-in show, and I appreciate the drive-in shows. That's the one I'm doing on the 9th up in Manchester by the Sea, is a drive-in show, because at the drive-in shows, you know, that are managed correctly, you've got basically a car length on all sides of you that's separating you from people that you'll never be able to stand next to. But I saw this one country artist. He had a drive-in, but everyone just got out of they drove in, but then they got out of their cars and they stood shoulder to shoulder without masks on. So, you know, I do think that's not a smart thing to be doing now.
So I will tell you too, and again, on the 9th here, that's the 9th is the Saturday, right? Yes.
Yeah, the 9th.
So it's Saturday night. This is for those of, I have actually looked at the setup in Manchester, because I'll tell you right now, if I don't end up going to Maine this weekend, which is 50-50, I'm going to end up at your show. No, you gotta come to the show. I got Christine Ullman, you know, from Saturday Night Live, the Beehive Queen. Nice.
Who's just an incredible entertainer, a fantastic singer, incredible entertainer. And then I've got Cliff Goodwin playing guitar with me on that day, who was Joe Cocker's music director. And for years. So I mean, and then my band, I got Marty Richards, who actually played as the drummer for the Jay Giles band for a little bit, and David Hall, who was is a member of the Joe Perry Project, and every once in a while plays bass with Aerosmith. So not a band member, I stress that. Tom Hamilton is, in fact, the nicest guy in show business and the bass player for Aerosmith, so don't get me wrong there.
Yeah, I hope they work all that out. Do you think that'll be worked out? I know that kind of made some gossipy headlines there a little bit.
Listen, that band will always work itself out.
Yes.
They will. I don't worry about those guys. They're the longest running band in history, I think, with the same members. And they'll continue to do that, I'm sure.
It is not the easiest thing in the world being a band leader, is it?
Well, I guess brain surgery might be a little more complicated and probably more stressful now that I think about it. But it's keeping a band together for a long period of time. Is a delicate thing. I think I basically had 3 bands over the years, although I've had a lot of people played in my band, including Billy Squire and Wayne Kramer from the MC5 and Jimmy McCarty from the Detroit Wheels. I mean, it's a long list. Jeff Peaver. Anyway, but I basically only had what would be considered the original band, and that lasted about 12, 14 years. And then I had the band with Steve Barbuto and Lenny Bradford, LB is now going out with Joe Louis Walker, and Steve Barbuto's going out with Commander Cody and the Lost Planet Airman, which is a band I was a member of for a while. And that's, you want to hear some stories. But so basically LB and Buto were my guys for about 12 or 13 years. And then the guys I have now, George McCann and David Hall, have been with me for about 15 or 16 years. So, basically, I've been able to keep the same guys together for lengthy periods of time. And they asked Red Auerbach one time, they said, what's the secret of the Celtics' success, And he didn't say, well, you need a big man in the center, you're up in front, or you need a point guard who really knows how to run the game. They asked him the secret to the Celtics' success, and he said, loyalty is a two-way street. That was his answer. So I think with my bands, that's been the thing that's held us together. We're very loyal to one another.
Absolutely. I want to make
that's the most important thing, loyalty.
I kind of knew it wasn't as glamorous as it always looks being a band leader, but it's nice to hear it from a band leader himself. I did misspeak, by the way. So you're Saturday in Connecticut, Sunday at the Manchester Athletic Club, which is the drive-in.
Yeah, Sunday the 9th is the drive-in up in Manchester.
All right. So
Manchester by the Sea.
Beautiful.
Don't end up in Manchester, New Hampshire now. This is Manchester by the Sea.
Yeah, apparently that's part of the reason why they say that, is because there used to be confusion back in the day with the two Manchesters. But
really?
Well, I heard that story, and what was the other one?
One big difference is to take a good look at some of the real estate and some of the homes in both of those places.
Yes, that's Manchester by the Sea is definitely a unique part of the world, definitely.
Yeah.
So the Manchester and also they remember that movie, the movie titled Manchester by the Sea. That
was supposed to be pretty good. That's definitely on my watch sometime. Now that I'm watching Netflix like about 32 hours a day, I'll.
Well, if you're in dark spirits, it's not the one to turn to, but it's not exactly an uplifting film. But
oh, good, okay, well, yeah.
But you might appreciate this, being from around here. You get they complain in Manchester by the Sea that the movie really more Gloucester.
What's that now?
It's really more Gloucester.
Oh yeah. Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah, with like the bar scenes and like that place doesn't really exist here. That's more of a Gloucester thing there on the Fisherman's Dock, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I've been playing those sounds up there for a long time. The first time I played up there, I think I played up in Andover up there somewhere. And that led to some shows in the Gloucester area. And there was a really dangerous club up there. The name of it will come to me eventually. I mean, Grover's was really a dangerous club in Beverly. These are places where once you got into the dressing room, you took your life in your hands.
One of those clubs where you demand the money beforehand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I've been playing up there for a long time, and like I say, even my college, when I was still in college and had my college band, we started playing up there. And I tell you, it's like it's almost like a homecoming for us up there. When we play that area, or north and south shore, because we had the band house in Hingham.
Yeah.
But whenever we would go to those shores, it feels like a homecoming to us, because for so many years there were so many places up there, so many places to play, and every high school used to book bands back then.
Yeah. And this
felt really cool. Hey, I'm smoking a joint at a high school. Wow, look at this.
The city this show is based out of, which is Newburyport, has kind of been a nice little home base for you too over the years.
Yeah, I did that Yankee homecoming about 9 or 10 years in a row, and if anyone's listening up there, I want to play Yankee homecoming again.
Oh, I guarantee you.
I'm sure there won't be one this year, but
yeah.
When Yankee homecoming comes back, I want to be the band on that show again. Now, everybody in Newburyport, are you listening to that? Anyway, but I did that show for about 10 years in a row, and it was really good.
Absolutely. You were actually loved there. I've had many people say that heard our last conversation, a year or so ago, whenever that was, not for this show, for another radio station, but many people reached out to me and said, that's right, he played there. He was great at Newburyport, so you made an impact there.
Yeah, I love that show. The
drive-in thing, by the way, I have done 2 drive-ins now. I saw a guy who has appeared on this show, Ryan Montbleu, at I don't know if you know him, Ryan Montbleu. He's a Peabody guy. Nice little acoustic musician, and he's got a big fan base. Sold out a couple drive-ins in New Bedford and up in New Hampshire, and I went to see 2 of them. And I got to tell you, man, I think you'll love this drive-in setup. It is exciting. It's almost like
yeah, I've done one drive-in already, and we had a ball. It was a lot of fun, and people are honking their horns and flashing their lights on and off, and yeah, drive-ins I'm very comfortable with. There's been some indoor shows that I haven't gone ahead with. I'm not too sure how comfortable I would be in a room for 3 or 4 hours with the same people.
You're not going to head into the grog anytime soon, are you?
In the words of Commander Cody, no.
Me neither.
I love Commander Cody.
Grog. Great spot, but.
Yeah, but that seems. I've been worried about the droplets in the grog for the past 20 years as it is.
That is a great line right there. I know one of the guys that books the music. He'll love that you said that. He'll wear that as a badge of honor. The drive-in, and for people who don't know too, just to promote the drive-in thing a little bit, you get, as you mentioned earlier, very eloquently, you get your parking spot, and then the spot usually to your left is open. They treat it, I know on the webpage for Manchester by the Sea, they call it a suite. That is your suite for the night. You stay with the people that you know. Yeah. Those are the only people you're really supposed to be with.
No, that's it. If they do that, it works really well. The one that I did up at in Tupelo, they actually parked them like a checkerboard.
Oh, that's the one in Derry, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I did one up there too. Yeah.
Yeah, they park them like a checkerboard, so that you basically have a car on each side of you. So, and then what they did there is everybody was able to download a limited menu on their phone, and they had a number of their parking places, so you could actually order on your phone, and then they would get the order at this outdoor like picnic table, and then a guy with a golf cart would zip over to your spot. And you could actually, order food and drinks while you were sitting in the drive-in. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that's fantastic. And, for you and I, we're both, you're a musician and I'm a music junkie. Live music, that's what I do this time of year. I go to see shows. I love going to see live music. And this has just been such a strange period. And the one thing I kept saying after the drive-ins was, you know what, that felt like a concert. Felt like a show.
Yeah, no, it did. There was, I guess it would have been late April, and basically I shut down. I had a gig on March 10th I could have taken, but there were 79 cases in that county. That shows you how long ago that was. And, I would have been comfortable with the band, us coming in to a wiped down dressing room and setting up socially distanced. But even though there were only 79 cases in that whole county, which included Lawrence and Lowell, I didn't want to be part of a show where one person would come in with the virus and 10 people would leave with it. So basically, talking about performing at a drive-in, it was my girlfriend's birthday, and a guitar player and his wife came down separately from Newport, and there's this little park where they have these picnic tables, and we sat at a picnic table, so we were really distanced. And me and the guitar player were just fooling around, just playing whatever, Yeah. So these two guys pull up in a pickup truck, and they park toward about the edge of the park, and they come over with, each one of them's got a beer there. And they come over and they sit at another picnic table, right? And all of a sudden, this wave comes over me, like, oh my God, okay, now I've got an audience. It's like, I went from just fooling around, not really caring what I was playing, just having fun and playing. All of a sudden, now I'm going, oh boy. And then I started paying attention to my solos, and I started, paying attention to how I was singing. And it was like this wave came over me, and I was no longer James Montgomery, who day to day, I was that James Montgomery who's on stage, that guy.
Yeah.
Who I wish I was, by the way. That guy on stage is fearless. Yeah. But I turned into that guy, and I could just feel this wave come over me. And the same thing happened.
Just craving an audience.
Well, yeah, and and I've told that story to like John Cafferty, and I've told that story to other frontmen, and they all say the same thing. Yeah, none of us are that guy that's up there on stage. That's those guys are fearless. So I really look forward to that show up there at Manchester by the Sea, because it's like, we all get a chance to be that guy again, to be that guitar player. And Christine Ullman, what a persona she has with the Golda May outfit and the beehive hairdo. I mean, she'd be worth driving into the show just to look at her and turn around and drive back. It would be worth the price of admission just for that. But
what an excellent sales pitch that is.
Yeah, no, it's I can't tell the people how much we're looking forward to the show. It's like we get to play again. We get to relate to people. We get to share music. It's just it's just something that's just missing so much in our lives.
I can tell just how your face lights up when you talk about being on stage again. What is it for somebody who will never play in front of some of the crowds that you've played in front of? You've seen it all. I mean, I'm listening to you here today, and I'm thinking, have you written a book? Because I think you should. You got stories for days.
Yeah, I eventually I will. There's one. As soon as one thing happens, I'll do it. And I can't tell you what that thing is.
But what is it, to get to my question? What is it that what comes over James Montgomery that's just like, when I'm on stage, it's like, that's my stage. Like, what is that feeling like? And you get that back at you.
Well, I blame it on being a middle child who. My brother was always, in the days when you played baseball and you tossed a bat and then you try and kick it out of the guy's hand and to figure out who would get first pick on the field, you tossed the bat and the eagle claws and all this stuff. And but anyway, so I was always little Montgomery. My big brother John always got picked first, and me and Wes Montgomery are always the last ones picked because we were playing with kids older than us. Then my younger brother gets born, and he's the cute one. And So I'm sitting there as a middle child, and no one's paying attention to me. So now I get on stage in front of thousands of people every night and go, hey, here I am, pay attention to me. Here I am.
Oh, man. Okay.
Something like that. I don't know.
But never any nervousness, though. Like, even in the olden days, it was always, that was your stage?
Yeah. No, I get terribly nervous before I go on.
You do?
Know, I get
Still.
Stage fright. But I'm all I have to do is put my first foot on the stage, and it's like, I'm more comfortable on stage than I am in a lot of other different places. And, I'm sure, I'm sure if you ask Steven Tyler, Peter Wolf, they tell you the same story. Like Peter Wolf, I think he's probably much more comfortable on stage than anywhere else. He was born to be up there,
Is that the cat that made an appearance right there? I think I heard him in the background.
What's that? Oh, no, there's my computer makes some kind of a weird noise when I get an email.
Oh, that is funny. Again, James Montgomery joining us. Final few minutes here. Again, Sunday night, doors are opening. It looks like 5:15 on Sunday. Manchester by the Sea Drive-In at the Manchester Athletic Club. Show is going to start at 6. You'll probably go on at what time you thinking?
I don't know. The doors. It's all on the poster there.
Go to the website, yeah.
But it's I think the doors they start letting cars in around 5:15. I think
5:15. Yep, 5:15.
Yeah, and then I guess we would probably go on somewhere around 6:30.
Cool. So this will be
and I can't stress enough how anxious we are to start playing music and how we're so looking forward to this. And I really want everyone, all of our friends up there on the North Shore, to show up and support this. It's like it's the safest show that you can get nowadays. It's not like standing shoulder to shoulder in some kind of crowded beach bar somewhere. This is like very safe and very much fun. And the band can't wait to get on stage and play.
No doubt. And again, James Montgomery, Sunday night, going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to try to get over there myself because I love it. And again, it feels like a concert. You know what I love? You got the people can take it in different ways too. A lot of times a local radio station will dial it up so you can listen in your car, or you can sit in that little sweet spot that I told you about, or people drive in the pickup trucks and they go in the back. And people end up sitting on the back of their flatbeds, which is pretty cool too. Yeah,
they do that. The back rows always pick up trucks, and people sit out there and they got their own. They should put a little AstroTurf in there and bring a fake palm tree, and then I think they'd be in business.
Yeah, we got to be careful not to turn this into a Jimmy Buffett tailgate now. But,
yeah.
What has been the toughest part about quarantine for you besides not playing? I know that's the obvious one, but.
Well, Newport is such a social town. Like I say, in normal times, I'd be able to sit on my patio and have a glass of wine and walk to like one of 4 or 5 star restaurants that's within a half a mile of me here in Newport. To be able to just walk in, I miss being able to take advantage of Newport. Yeah. Which is a great town, has a lot to offer, but now it's limited. I miss, like everyone I think misses the same things, missing being able to hang out with your besties and being able to see your family members and my girlfriend's we're social distancing because we live in different places and we have different routines, and so we're being careful. So it'll be nice to get back to normal.
I think I'm not going to let you get out of here without a little bit of I know you're not too comfortable with this, but the self-indulgence thing. But I grew up around musicians. My dad had a band. Everybody I talked to when I was talking about going to see you one night, I think it was the Grog probably. I mentioned your name, and every one of these guys who were, they were mostly my dad's age, but I figured, I didn't know what they knew. And they go, oh man, now that's a guy, you're going to hear yourself some harmonica on that night. And and I think a word kept coming up, like a soulful player, that sort of thing. What makes it about your style that makes it so unique and so cool to listen to? Because it's tough to explain if you don't know what you're doing.
The first time I met Peter Wolf, he pulled me aside and said, always remember this, the amateur copies the professional steals. So, as a harmonica player, which is the most intimate instrument in many ways, because basically your vocal cord becomes the reed in the harmonica, and it's also the only instrument that you can't see it when you're playing it. So there's this real sense of intimacy with it. Mm. And, I started watching James Cotton, who I'm making a documentary about, by the way, and people should go to jamescottonfilm.com and take a look at that and donate. But anyway, harmonica players, we kind of steal. There's not, Jerry Portnoy has a great, system out for teaching. But harmonica players, we basically steal. I stole from James Cotton, I stole from Paul Butterfield and Junior Wells, and those are the guys I stole from. And the thing is, that, when you first play harmonica, you could just walk around with it, and you start to think you're good after a couple of months when you're really not. But you find yourself, just playing everywhere, walking down the street, walking in the store, and much to the chagrin of those around you. But I think all harmonica players, when you see them when they're first starting, they're playing out on the street, they're walking up and down the street playing, and it's just it's easy because it's always something that's just sitting there right next to you. It's just it's always there. You just. I always have one at my desk.
I was really hoping that would happen. That's great.
Yeah.
Always right next to you. That's fantastic. Do you feel like you could go up? I was thinking when you were talking about Sam Moore and everything earlier, do you feel like you could get up with anybody right now and just give me a second to listen and then I'll jump in?
Yeah. I mean, the last time that happened where I was a little taken off guard was, Trombone Shorty said if I wanted to come up and play with him on a song, come on up, Yeah. So I was figuring, because it's Trombone Shorty stuff is pretty arranged. So I was thinking, I'll just come up. I'll probably just end up in the background, doing some. So I took up a harmonica in what they call third position, which I don't use that often. I thought I was going to be more of a backing instrument. Yeah. And so when the solo comes, he comes right over with me with the trombone, and we start going back and forth, trading eights, and really it turned out to be like maybe the highlight of the show, if I do say so myself. And you can see that on YouTube, Trombone Shorty and James Montgomery.
I'm gonna go check that.
But that a lot of times when I come up, I know they call me up and I know it's going to be a jam and I'm expected to do a solo or whatever. But in this case, I was really expecting completely to not be called on. Yeah. And it was great that he called on me because we had a ball playing together.
That is fantastic. All right, so we end every show like this. James Montgomery, this has been too much fun. And again, thank you so much for doing it. I know you're about to get busy and you got a busy weekend ahead of you, but we appreciate you taking some time here and doing this for us. Can you do a little rapid fire, quick responses? First thing that comes to your mind?
What's that now?
Little rapid fire. You ready for this? Can you do a little quick responses? First thing that comes to your mind?
It comes to my mind about which I'm
gonna ask you some rapid fire questions.
Oh yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like I'm on Family Feud. This is great. Do I get 25 seconds because the second round's going to be more difficult?
No. There's also no way of penalizing you if you don't get anything. Don't worry. There's no question. But biggest influence.
What's that?
Biggest influence.
I guess, I said it before, there's three of them, but I guess if I had to pick one, I'd probably say James Cotton.
I thought you might say that. Greatest venue you ever played, ever?
I'm kind of partial to the House of Blues in Chicago, the way it's set up. I love that. Outdoors, when I was doing the Allman Brothers tours in the 70s, we were seeing 125,000, 150,000 people a night. And there's a lot to be said for getting on a stage and playing for over 100,000 people. It's a lot of fun.
I bet there is a lot to be said for that. Best concert you've ever attended?
The first thing that came to my mind is when I was in 6th grade and my mom took me to see the Beatles,
Oh, wow. It plays right into the coffee mug.
Yeah, it was her first tour ever, in the States. So it was, I had 2 brothers, so it was the 3 boys, my mom, and then a lot of screaming 8 to 14-year-old girls.
Where was that show?
That was at Olympia, where the Detroit Red Wings used to play.
Oh, okay.
That would have been 64, something like that, 65. And then eventually, years later, WRKO asked me to play the summer show with Hart in Orleans. But the MDC police banned me from that show. They said, James Montgomery's band is too wild and his fans are too crazy to be on the Esplanade. So they banned me. I was banned in Boston.
No kidding.
So WRKO said, well, I'll tell you what, we'll give you the Christmas show instead. I said, oh, yeah, that's okay. So the Christmas show was the Bay City Rollers, Andy Gibb, Sean Cassidy, and English Dan Ford and Cooley, whoever those guys were. And so it was all like, like I say, Sean Cassidy, Andy Gibb, Bay City Rollers. It was all, every woman that I know that had a 9 to 14-year-old daughter begged me to get tickets to that show. So I do know what it's like to come on stage. When I saw the Beatles show, and it was all these girls screaming and screaming, even though none of these kids knew who I was. James Montgomery Band, like, we come on stage and these kids are screaming. I do know what it's like to go on stage to a bunch of screaming 11-year-old girls, some of whom are throwing flowers at you. So I did get that experience on that show.
Everybody should have that experience once, right?
They should. It was, as a matter of fact, some days when I'm depressed, I'm just kidding. It's the first time I thought I had in a long time.
Who is the nicest man or woman in rock and roll?
Yeah, the very first thing off the top of my head would be Greg Allman and Dan Aykroyd.
Yep, that's right.
That's just off the top of my head.
You mentioned Greg a lot. Was he just like extra go? I mean, I know the backstage stuff, they were welcoming, but did he go out of his way for you? Or?
Yeah, he did. In some ways that I probably won't mention, but yeah, he was always always like, if he saw me, he always make sure that we had some personal time together. I never saw him once where we didn't have at least 20 to 30 minutes of personal time,
Absolutely.
He always made room for me.
That's great to hear. And lastly, what's the first song you're going to play when you jump back on stage this weekend?
I think my first song will probably be my version of Paul Butterfield's One More Heartache.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't wait to play it too. Listen, everybody who hears this broadcast, get your car and come down to this drive-in thing. These things are really cool. You wouldn't believe it.
I think you're going to get everybody excited again. Sunday night, doors open at 5:15, Manchester by the Sea. James Montgomery, man, I had a blast. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me on. So get back to the morning here.
Yeah,
and
let's do the cheers, huh?
Toast a little coffee mugs there. There we go.
I've never actually, I used to do this in the studio. I haven't actually had anybody do it virtually. You want to play us out, play us on home?
Yeah, sure.
We'll see everybody next time. Thanks for joining us live.